Good morning, everyone. Welcome to my channel. For those of you who are new, make sure you hit that subscribe button in order to get content weekly. Now, before I begin this week's Cosmic Vibes series of what's coming up every day, make sure for those of you who would like a free clairvoyant reading to tune in right here on YouTube on Friday, September the 12th at 12 noon Mountain Standard Time, 2 p.m. Eastern, or 11 a.m. Pacific. That's right. Make sure you're tuned in so you can ask me a question, or you can always book a free reading, you could always book a reading with me. Go to soulworkwithjenny.com, and that way we can connect and you can book your reading there. But you want that free reading? Tune in, seriously. Now, we're going to talk about September 6th to the 12th energy every day, what's coming in, how we can utilize this, how we can manifest, what to expect, and so on. Like, we are in this eclipse season, as I've been talking about since it started on the 24th of August. Every day is expect the unexpected. That's right. Make a wish. Be careful what you wish for. And really, really pay attention to what has come up. Like, look back to the 24th of August and look at where you are today. Like, what's happened? What's come up? It's like, oh my gosh, how could this happen? How could that happen? This is the eclipse. The eclipse wants to bring balance back into your life, the end of the story, pretty much. So this is why whatever is out of balance, what's not working, it gets shown in a rude way, right? That's how there's endings suddenly. All of a sudden this happens. You get that phone call, you get this and this and that, frustrations and so on and so on. I had even mentioned in my last video, and throughout the year, mind you, like, more medical issues are being exposed. Like, even myself, when I went for my ultrasound, there were certain things he didn't check off for me to get checked. And I'm like, are you kidding me? Like, wow. And even the lady who was doing the ultrasound on me says, you can complain and go. And I'm like, this is just crazy. Like, after all of that, and now I got to go through this again. So it's showing even flaws in the system, like so many things. The doctors want you to keep on doing this, to go back to book appointments so they make money. Like, really? Like, seriously? But, things are being exposed, and the truth gets exposed even more so throughout the eclipse season. So this is why it's really important to really, really pay attention to what comes in. Huge opportunities will be presented to you with a job, with relationships, with starting something new, like so many different things. So make sure you really pay attention to that. This energy right now, like, look back to August 2022 and August 2007. If you can remember what was going on then, you might find that there's similarities right now, especially when it's something more like a big new beginning with something, or an ending. What was going on? So the eclipse season will bring up similarities. What did we learn back then? Like, what lessons did we truly learn? Right? The eclipse goes on to the 22nd. However, it lingers on to the 6th of October. So after the 22nd or 21st, really, things start to the energy starts to calm down a little bit more, but you can still manifest, expect the unexpected, things like that. So September the 9th, we're just going to talk about the 6th to the 12th, and I'm reading it as is September the 9th. It's like that, kind of like that portal day. 9 represents endings and completions. This is the universal 9 year. So you are being shown what is ending, what is completing its cycle. And that could be anything. Take a look if it's relationships, jobs, like whatever it is, pay attention. Don't fight with the energies. Believe me, I've tried. I argue with the universe every day. Like, really? Like even at my ultrasound, really? It's not the lady's fault. Of course not. I said, no, of course not. You know, it's not you. I get it. But pay attention, really pay attention. This is very health conscious as well. So during the eclipse, it's more important to really pay attention to red flags. It's more, important to pay attention to, I got to get this looked at, or I got to end this situation, no matter what. So when we work with the energy works with us. So the seventh, we have that blood full moon, like blood full moon eclipse, lunar eclipse in Pisces. Pisces emotional energy, emotions, feelings. So it very well could be very, very, very emotional. Full moons can be very emotional regardless of what, but this is like that lunar eclipse, which can be very emotional. You're going to want to really, really revamp everything. And this is the week as well where you're going to be doing a lot more healing from old ancestral family wounds and ties karmically. So, we've had that Chiron energy for a while and so on, which is going to continue. But for those of you who have had, like certain family dramas, for those of you who've been through, I mean, I've always been the black sheep of my family, always, you know, but it's like certain wounds that we've been through since childhood, even all the way up to however old you are now. You're going to be healing, you're going to be endings, karmic cycles, you're going to be closing doors. Some of you could be like, you know what, I've had enough, I'm walking away. Some of you are healing from past situations. It's all very sacred and personal, this full moon, especially, for that reason as well. So that could be a very emotional week, very emotional week. Look back to 2022. Seriously, you're going to see what maybe something happened back then in your family, or maybe something happened back then that was more emotional and so on. So this is why it's like really pay attention to what's coming up. Like I was looking back on 2022 and I'm like, oh my gosh, this is when actually I quit my job at the hospice, right? So, when something new started for me and so on and so on. So, very well could be that certain endings, let's say, with whatever you're dealing with is coming to an end and you're embracing new doors. So, really pay attention to these new doors of opportunities that are really opening up, and this is when you're going to see more clarity as well with, we can all have different like fantasies and dreams and all of those things. Always go after your dreams and your goals 100%. However, certain things that we fantasize about will be showing the reality of, let's say, relationships. Oh, but I want this person, I want that person, they're going to get divorced, or this is going to happen, or we're going to get married, or like whatever it is. You're going to see more clarity during this time. You're going to see more truth of where it really is. We can't force anything to happen. Of course not. Because the more you force anything, it's not going to work with you. It doesn't matter what time of the year it is. You know, when you try to force something, the universe is like, it's just not the right time. Like, or maybe it's not the right path for you. So certain things that you guys have been wanting, let's say, you're going to be like, I got to give that up. Like, it's just I got too much going on, or it's just I'm just not really passionate about that anymore, no matter what it is. So really pay attention to that. You know what I mean? Can be a very sacred journey. Huge time to manifest, especially under this full moon. Like every day during the eclipse, huge manifesting, huge time to manifest. Be careful what you wish for, as I've mentioned. Put your crystals outside to get the moon energy coming in, or put them under a window to rejuvenize them, and so on and so on. That moon energy is really, really strong. So it's very powerful. Actually, here's a full moon picture I took myself a while back. I do photography on the side. It's one of my passions. You can follow me on Jenny G Photography on Instagram as well if you want. But there's a lot of energy. We're moving into the autumn. It depends where you are, you know. Pumpkin spice season. I love pumpkin spice season. However, how many of you are pumpkin spice people? I'm a pumpkin spice woman. So anything pumpkin spice I like. Pumpkin is actually healthy for you. You know, pumpkin spice lattes, no. But you know what I'm saying? You know what I mean? You might have found that you guys have been decluttering or all of a sudden, "Oh, I want to change my living room around or my bedroom around. I want to add these colors, or you know what? I gotta donate all of these things. You're going to be decluttering. Like even last night, literally, I was tired. I had working, a long day and I was laying in bed. Okay, I'm just going to watch one of my movies. And then all of a sudden, I'm like, I saw a couple of things I could change in my bedroom. I'm like, don't get out of bed. Jeez. I did. I got out of bed and I moved my lamp over here and I went and I was moving things around. And I'm like, oh my God, why am I so tired? And I'm like, and I looked at the clock and I'm like, oh my God. So pay attention to when you get very spontaneous. I've changed things around. Like some people like, oh, did you get new things? And I'm like, no, I just actually changed things around. That's why. Really, I've never seen that before, probably because it was in another room that you didn't notice. But I wanted to bring it out here and what was there before I actually donated or it's put away or something. Really pay attention to the creative sparks right now with you, because you're going to see like even on the six, as we start off the six changes. It brings change. You very well could be in the right place at the right time. Pay attention to incoming phone calls. Pay attention to what happens that day of, boy, I was in the right place at the right time. Boy, I'm glad I wasn't, over there because there was a big accident or, oh my gosh, whatever it is, really pay attention to that and really pay attention to always what's not working. You could be a little more actually vulnerable, a little emotional that day too because as we get closer to that blood moon, which is on the 7th and 8th, like you're going to see it. Like if you look outside, you're going to see that orange colored moon, that full moon starting to form and so on. I've actually taken pictures of like the half moon that's orange and so on, already, but that's another thing. Pay attention to your dreams. You can have a lot more vivid dreams, on the 6th and 7th as well. There's going to be some financial changes. Maybe you guys, wow, we've finally given you that raise. We're giving you that promotion. Or some of you are going to be like, oh my gosh, you really got to balance, balance my money better. So it's financial. So you could feel a little off balance, off kilter because of that moon. Sleep could very well be off because of this moon energy that's there, and really be open to change. Like 555, I see 555 a lot. That's life changes, right? And with the eclipse, and that is huge life changes. And I'm like, oh my God, what's the results going to be from that ultrasound? Like, but you can't go into fear, right? You have to be like, what, spirit, thank you for bringing in positive changes. I am open to making positive changes. Immediately, boom, boom, and I see especially 555. I'm all over that. I'm all over that. So really pay attention to where your thoughts are as well whenever you see certain numbers, 111, 333, all of those things. Where's your mind? If it's that fear or negativity, immediately change it to change the vibrational frequency. Our guides and angels give us heads up that there's change coming in. Like, I know there's change coming in for me. All of us has felt change, especially since the eclipse started. I can feel change coming, Jenny. And I'm like, I know we can all feel that change is coming, a shift with something. And that could be something amazing. So don't go into fear. Don't go into fear. That's why it's really important to really pay attention to what is not working, what's out of alignment. So very helpful, very important to keep your mind set in a positive way. I know it's hard. We all go through pain and suffering and challenges and all of these things. But no matter what you're going through, just stay focused in a positive way, right? Like, it's like when you have, like to deal with challenges, like when I had to do my ultrasound, I had to drink all that water. And even when I was there, I had to like, half the test was, yeah, we need your bladder full. And then it's like, okay, go release your bladder. Now come back because we're going to do this. Right. So it's like on my way there, I was psyching myself up like 100%. It's going to flow with ease. It's going to, all of those things. Start doing that, especially when you have to confront things that are uncomfortable. Right. Anytime I walk into a lab or doctor's places, I get really dizzy and nauseous because I can pick up on so much energy that's there. Like I'm very sensitive to like equipment, let's say, and labs and the energy of people and so on. So some of you could even feel off because everybody who is there obviously has something that they have concerns with, of course, right? So now, as we're moving into the ninth, or I mean the 10th and the 11th, September 11th, of course, we all know September 11th with New York and how the world changed and so on and so on. I actually had a client who worked in the Twin Towers and who passed away on September 11th, and so many people's lives, of course, got changed. And I always light a candle that day for everyone who got affected. The whole world changed, of course, as we know. There's certain times that, especially whenever it's been very difficult for people, I'll light a candle and I'll send out little prayers in my angelic team to certain people who I know that are struggling and dealing with things and coping with things. And, whenever there's certain crises, it can, like, look how, you know, after everything that happened, look at how it brought more people together with more compassion and understanding and kindness. We should always have compassion and not ever judge people. You don't know what somebody's going through. You truly don't. People can have poker faces. How you doing? I'm doing great. But that person could be like very distraught, emotional, and falling apart behind the scenes. So you got to show compassion and kindness towards humanity. I always say that, anytime I get interviewed or whatever, Jenny, what's the last word? That's exactly what I say. Show compassion and kindness towards others and yourself. Like I always end it like that because is that not the truth? We're all going through things. So when the 10th and the 11th, you're going to be even pursuing more of your soul's calling and destiny. You could feel compelled to book certain appointments that you're like, I got to book this appointment for whatever it is, especially health, pay attention, book those appointments, so on and so on. You could be like, wow, I got to sign up for this. I want to learn how to do that. There's something that, gosh, I want to take that course or I want to do this and this and this. I have been putting classes together, by the way, as well. It's taking me a while because I'm doing it certain way specific. So whenever all of that's up, I'll let you guys know, right? But if you're getting pulled towards learning something, especially educational or something you're very passionate about, wow. It's like with me, when COVID came in, I was actually going to take photography classes at a college, but COVID, of course, stopped everything. So I took photography classes online and everything like that, and so on and so on. So it's like take advantage of certain things you're feeling very passionate about because your passions, of course, is more of who you are as a soul, and you could be like, wow, how am I and why am I drawn to do that? Pay attention because we all have different cycles and energies and so on and so on when, we're waiting and have been waiting to start something. And all of a sudden you're going to be like, oh my gosh, I really feel I want to start this again. Like even me, I'm getting drawn back to, do painting again. I gave actually all my painting supplies and eagles and or easels and all of these. I gave it pretty much away like quite some time when I thought it was moving far, far away. And I'm getting drawn to do that again. So who knows, I could pick up some art supplies again after I pretty much gave it away, but it doesn't matter. You know what I mean? It does its purpose and I help somebody out in a big way. So really pay attention to what you're getting pulled to. It doesn't matter. You very well could be feeling more sadness that day as well as reflect back on maybe it's 9/11 or different things that you've been through. So you might even find that you're going to want more of a quiet space and time for yourself, and don't hold back your emotions, especially whenever you get really emotional. My gosh, why am I so emotional all of a sudden? Because your soul wants you to heal from certain situations, from certain past situations. I mean, I've had many near-death experiences myself, and just to give you, something very quick, whenever we've been through a very traumatic, toxic time, challenges and stuff, we can get, when we pass on, we get brought into a healing room, we get healed by certain things. I mean, I actually saw the person, the man who is, I'll never forget his voice or his face or anything. My back was black and blue from just so many different things I've been through. And he was like cupping my back, and there was a profound message in everything with that, but that's another story. So make sure that whenever you feeling I need some space, I want to release, I want to heal, do that. Just really work through it. Just, you know, show love to yourself, show compassion to yourself, as I'm saying. Don't leave yourself out. Really process everything. So you're going to find even on the 12th, boom, after, maybe you've been letting go on the 11th and such like that, and the 10th and so on. You very well are going to feel more optimistic. You're going to be like, I'm actually feeling better today. I'm feeling lighter because I've been letting go and crying or whatever like that. So you very well could be doing more detoxing. Maybe some of you are going to start a cleanse that day, or you know what, I'm going to start eating healthier, or I'm going to clean out my fridge or my cupboards from unhealthy foods. I'm going to start more of a routine and so on and so on, and be really important for big opportunities that day on the 12th. I mean, anytime we get an opportunity, anytime I have an opportunity coming in, I always take a look at it, see if it's in alignment with where I want to go, no matter how big or small it is. Does this work with me? Does this really kind of connect to the direction I want to be moving towards? Especially if you get pulled into writing, I'm really hearing writing coming in. Even if you're writing a journal, or for those of you who are writing a book or doing something with writing based, whatever it is, you're going to be communicating even more. Like I actually have on my Aqua Aura crystal here, because I'm going to be doing communicating today in a bigger way and so on, right? This Aqua Aura is blue. Blue is the throat chakra, and it helps you communicate more. So if I was doing speaking or interviews or something, whatever it is, I would be wearing my Aqua Aura. And even if you're feeling your throat is stuck, let's say, like you can wear an Aqua Aura as well, because it helps clear it out. And really pay attention to what important message is coming through that day. All of a sudden, you get a message coming in. Oh my gosh, that was really important. Oh wow, I better pay attention to that. Like whatever it is, really pay attention to that, because when you work with this energy, you guys, seriously, it works with you. I don't want to deal with that right now. I don't want to deal with that right now. Nobody likes to deal with stuff, challenges. If you run from it, it gets worse. And not only that, this is why this eclipse will be bringing things up to the surface. This is what you ran away from. This is what you ignored. This is what you didn't resolve. All of those things. So I will purposely, if you guys pay attention to my videos and such, I will mention, okay, this is the time or the month or the week to book those appointments you don't want to deal with. I do that because when you do that, even though it's stuff we don't want to deal with, it flows much better for you. Because the universe is like, okay, they're dealing with stuff. We know it's uncomfortable, but we're going to work with them because they're trusting us and everything. Like I argue with the universe every day. I do. The ultrasound. Universe, what are you doing to me? Like, seriously, I don't have time for this shit. I don't have time to go back to these doctors and that doctors and have to go through booking all this crap. I go into that. I really do, because I get frustrated. I'm like, why would a doctor not check off this and this and that? I'm right there. Did we not talk about that? So don't get me started. Seriously, don't get me started. So anyways, let's pull a couple of cards to see what the collective message is for you. I don't use cards when I do readings, because I'm a clairvoyant psychic medium. So I do past life Akashic records and an animal communicator. Pay attention to the other video that's going to be coming out. I actually did past life reading for one of my clients that is going to be right here on YouTube, just to give you guys an idea of what to expect and so on. So whenever my team puts it out, you'll see it. For those of you who are subscribed. But anyways, let's pull a couple of cards just to see what the energy of the spirit world has to say to us. And I'm gonna actually, I pulled one of my crystal decks because especially with this full moon, it's very powerful and very clearing energies with the crystals. You know, this is my favorite crystal deck, mind you. It's the Crystal Spirits Oracle by Colette Baron Reed. I mean, I love this deck with the crystals more. Different decks. I actually gave a ton away. But anyway, what's the message from the crystal from the 6 to 12? Always get drawn into what crystals you're drawn into. You might not understand, why am I drawn into this or that, this crystal? It's because your soul energy, vibration, frequency is guiding you towards that. So pay attention. You can Google it to see what the meaning is, or ask somebody if you're at a store, usually the staff, or they have little, this is what this crystal means, and so on. So the 6 to the 12th, let's find out. Let's find out. But as you're letting go of ancestral wounds and karmic ties and karma, it very well will trigger you this week as well. Right? So it's not an easy process, as we all know. Nobody, oh, wow. How interesting. So the card that fell out is Moldavite. I actually have this. I'm not wearing it today, but I actually have this crystal. It's very powerful. It brings in more vibrational frequencies to the spirit world, the other worlds, other beings of all walks of life. Green is also very healing. It's an expensive crystal. I can tell you that. I have a couple of rings and a necklace with Moldavite, and oh my God, it's pricey. I'm like, what? But it's a very powerful crystal. And if you look, you can see a face. You see that face right in the middle there in that crystal? How many of you can see that face? So whenever you're looking at cards, you know, there's many ways to read cards and so on, you guys. So go by what feels right. I'll be talking about that in classes anyways, with some of the classes I'm putting together in more detail. So let's take a look at the Psychic Tarot Heart by John Holland. Let's see what messages are coming through for the collective. So of course, not all of you guys are going to connect. Make sure you guys like my channel. It really kind of helps. Make some comments. Subscribe to the channel, you guys. I will be making changes with my channel and in different ways. By the way, the 6th to the 12th, healing begins. Wow, wow. What was I just talking about? Letting go of past ancestral vibes or karmic ties, healing wounds. The healing starts to begin. Be open to that. Don't suppress your feelings and your emotions. Let it go. Yeah, but Jenny, I've been like in tears like throughout this whole entire year. Yes, you would be. This is a year of the snake as well. You know, snake is about healing, shedding old skin to bring in the new, transformation, rebirth, healing energy. You know, so it's letting go of past situations. Universal Mind Year is about completion, endings. You know, even the 9th, as I said, that's like a power day. You know, that's a day where all of a sudden things could suddenly end for you. Completion. Maybe that's when I'll get my ultrasound. The doctor's like, you know what, you're okay. This is just why it was that. But anyways, anything could happen. Sudden endings, things are completed. Maybe you'll complete your home renovations on the 9th. Maybe that's the day it completes. Maybe that's the day that you get your home. We're all good to go. It's signed off. You know, anything, like anything that connects with you guys. So that's pretty cool, right? Like, you know, see how the spirit world communicates when we're open. Let's talk to this one here. Earth Magic by Stephen Farmer. How many of you guys use cards? You know, what's going on with you guys? What's ended in your life? What is the message from the 6th to the 12th? What's the message from the 6th to the 12th? Right away. Shaman, ancient healing wisdom. Like this deck is not about healing. However, pay attention to this. Another card on healing. Look at that. You know, maybe some of you are getting drawn to sign up for shaman classes, shamanic healing. Maybe some of you are seeking healers. Maybe some of you are like, you know what, I got to bring that inner shaman out of me and start practicing this. Maybe I'm going to take a card on plant medicine, maybe or a class, right? All of those. Maybe I'm going to actually try plant medicine. Maybe like whatever it is. You know, some of you very well can get pulled into more Native American energy, wisdom, teachings. You know, maybe some of you are sitting back listening to listening to drumming. I used to do drumming. And someone actually sold my drum and I had thought I was moving. Beautiful. It was brand new, but life goes on. You know, so really pay attention that I'm saying to what you're really, really drawn to. And how many of you are going to be live right here with me on Friday, September the 12th at 12 noon Mountain Standard Time, 11 a.m. Pacific, or 2 p.m. Eastern Time to ask me a question, free clairvoyant question, or book soulworkwithjenny.com. Make sure you're subscribed right here on the channel. Join me on Instagram, Jenny G. Cousins. So if you want to get more notifications, my team posts things up on there, you know, all over the place, mind you, but you know what I'm saying? Let's do this together. Let's work to our healing.